It's even got a red light. Wow, this is professional. Hey everyone, how are you doing? I'm Joe, this is Kirby.
What's up?
I'm in America right now with HowToLife, and I've just met you today, and we
had brunch, and here we are filming a video.
Today, I thought we could talk about what's it like being a Christian in America versus in the UK, and also how we live counterculturally in school and in areas like that. So, what is it like being a Christian in America?
Being a Christian in America, specifically where I live in Texas, which is known as the Bible Belt, preferably the Bible Belt buckle. Like, that is where Christianity kind of is the hub, the norm. But I think that with that, it becomes so common that it's not real authentic faith. It's more so like namesake Christianity. So you have a lot of people that know the gospel, know Jesus, know of him, and believe, hey, I have salvation because of my parents or because I committed my life when I was 8 years old. But there's no actual depth to the relationship. I see a lot of that and have experienced a lot of that while I was in school, when I was in high school. Not so much as college, because I had the opportunity of going to a Christian university, God bless. But I think just for me, it was a new way to evangelize, because it wasn't necessarily reaching people that didn't know the gospel. It was reaching people who knew the gospel but didn't have a relationship. Yeah,
that's really good. Like, I think for me, so I've been in the US for a few days now, and in England, it's very much not common to be a Christian as it is in America. And in England, it's more of people know they're lost. Like, people struggle with a lot of stuff, and everyone's very open about it. But no one really has a faith, and it's not the norm. Whereas here, from what I can see, it's very much the norm to be a Christian. Yeah. I think it must be hard to evangelize here, because you've got to try and teach some people that they think they're saved, but they're not living their life. And how do you unteach someone that and then teach them what actually Christianity is? I feel like that's probably a lot harder to do, but there's probably some easier aspects to it.
Yeah, there's definitely benefits in someone knowing the Christian walk, because they know how it's supposed to be. Many of them just choose not to live by
definitely.
It. So I don't know. It's just hard because they know bits and pieces, and sometimes it's almost like distorted in a way, and they're living out a gospel that isn't true. So those of us who really are pursuing the faith, not just pursuing a denomination, but pursuing Scripture, pursuing the biblical aspect of Christianity. It's just a matter of confronting those people in love and hoping that their hearts are humble enough to admit, wow, I really am not walking in the faith.
Have you had that before and it's not gone well, or what's?
I wouldn't necessarily say it hasn't gone well. I've definitely had conversations with Christians who believe more modern day beliefs of Christianity, who have taken their Christian beliefs and have molded it into, well, this is what my preference, my culture says. And that's always a hard conversation to have, because they have a relationship with Jesus, they believe in him. But it's a matter of, well, are you truly living out the way, the truth, the life, not what you claim the gospel to be for you.
I get you.
So
that's really good. Something what I've been really feeling recently, and a word for my season. I have words for seasons. It's really cool, and the word is 2 words: is countercultural, and that's really something I've been really looking into a lot. And whenever I meet people, new people, I ask, how are we living counterculturally as Christians? Because especially in the UK, living a Christian lifestyle is very countercultural. I'm not sure as much it is in the US, but what do you think of living that way?
I mean, I think just with the way that, I don't know if this goes for the whole world, but specifically in America, there is just such a rise in well, this is my truth, and being spiritual but not being a Christian. So there is almost this sense of persecution, not in the way that we see Christians in China facing, or Christians where you live, where you really are having to put yourself out there and stand out. Whereas for us, I think it's just there's this battle happening between, oh, well, you can't force your beliefs on me. Like, if it's true for you, then it's true for you. It's this universalism. I don't know. And it gets frustrating and it gets hard, because you love people so much, but at the end of the day, they're like, well, that's your truth. And they're rejecting the fact that there is absolute truth. You can't live in a universe where truth is just relative and you can make it up. At that point, then it's like, where do you have a standard for morality? Where do you have a standard for anything? You
Yeah.
don't have a standard if there's no such thing as
good.
truth.
So let's say I'm a Christian. I'm in year 9. I'm 15, 16, whatever grade that is. I couldn't tell you.
No, you're good.
Like feeling like probably grade 10 or whatever.
Okay. Like 15 years old. That's about 10th grade.
Oh wow! Look at me go, American. So how do you tell people the truth without being forceful of the truth? I think something what I realise a lot, and I think something Christians need to be very careful of.
Yes.
We put our faith on people, and that can come across a very angry way and not a loving way. And in the Bible, we're called to love our neighbour.
Yeah.
And by telling people our faith sometimes isn't loving our neighbour, it's more a distorted view that is actually very hurtful and can be very dangerous and not beneficial to people. Yeah. So how do we tell people the truth without forcefully putting it on them?
Such a good question. And I think that the first thing we need to do is recognize exactly what you said, that these people are our neighbors. And recently, I listened to a sermon a little while back from my church, and they were talking about how when you give another person the title of neighbor, you're adding value to them.
Wow,
and you see them in a different light. Not just, those people, these people that believe this and that. When you see them as, that is my neighbor, you begin to have a love for them. And I think, from one, recognizing their value as your neighbor, that changes your approach. And two, going about it through forming a relationship with them. We find it, there is a time and a place for us to stand up and to preach the gospel and to do it in loving kindness, just like it talks about in Matthew. But at the same time, there is a relational side of ministry that is so effective that when we take the time to form relationships with people and to invest in hearing their heart, we'll be able to pour into them, because people don't want to hear from you if they don't trust you. They need to have that relationship.
So good, yeah. And we see that in Jesus' life, don't we?
Yes.
The amount of proportion Jesus spoke to the crowd when he spoke to disciples, it's ridiculous proportion. He spent most of his time with 12 people compared to the thousands. And I think as Christians, we think, okay, I need to speak to everyone. I need to go out, preach the word. And there's a time and place for that when you gain respect from people. But I think we need to realise the value in relationships, like you were saying, the value in disciples and people who are non-Christian. And if we look how Jesus discipled the 12, it wasn't in a forceful way. I don't think. It wasn't in a way of, you need to believe this. Like, even before he started on the cross, half the disciples didn't even know who he was, really. Do you mean? People didn't really get who he was, and they lived with him. And he just did it in such a gentle and loving way. And I think it's through his lifestyle he did it. So is living counterculturally, just living out your lifestyle publicly into a way where people can look at every single part of it.
You can
There's
clearly
something different.
Yeah, you can clearly see that Jesus is the Lord of your life, because you're submitting every area of your life to him. Your relationships, your time, your work ethic, all of those things. And that's what we're called to do, not just to have Jesus be the Lord of our Sundays, the Lord of our Wednesdays at youth group or whatever, but everything. Because when we do that, when we submit every area to him and we become aware of that, that changes our entire approach to everything.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, we've got some people watching who are probably in school, and they're probably wanting to live counterculturally. They're wanting to really stand up for Jesus, but they're struggling. What tips or tricks do you have for them?
Wow. I feel that. I went to a public high school. For those of you who don't know what high school is, it's basically ages like 14 to 18.
Wait, is that what high school is?
Yeah, high school.
Oh, wow.
Middle school is 12 to 13, 14.
Oh, wow.
We stand, even though it's the most awkward year of your life. But high school, no matter what grade you're in, what age you are, my encouragement to you in being bold about your faith in school is, one, to live by example. That doesn't have to always look like, standing up and preaching the word and saying, I don't believe in evolution in science class. It doesn't always have to be like that. But it can be in how you love others, because people will see that in you, and that opens up a door and an opportunity to share the gospel. But even when those opportunities do come up, when you're talking about biblical times or science or hopefully people know that you're a Christian by your actions, and through that when these secular topics might come up in school, they're the first ones to look at you and be like, well, what do you have to say about that? And you're able to prepare a witness. So again, live your life like Jesus would live, pursue other people and love them well. And just be wise with the words that you choose to have, and don't be afraid to stand up and lead and say, hey, if anyone wants to talk, I'm here.
Yeah,
don't be afraid to be known.
And I had that, I think, in RV class. Do you guys have RV, like religious studies? Like,
I mean, it depends what school you go to.
Yeah, so in religious studies at school, people knew I was Christian, people knew I was all about that lifestyle. And whenever any conversation came up in a debate, everyone would look to me to debate them.
Yep.
Everyone would look to me, and I knew nothing. Like, I'm not a theologian, I haven't studied theology. And what I would do, and this is a tip I think you guys should take home, and I think it's really powerful, is I'd go, okay, God, I'm going to start speaking, and you better put words into my mouth or I'm going to look like an idiot.
Amen.
So people would ask me questions, and I'd stand up and I'd start speaking because they'd ask me the question. That's the key point. If someone asks you, you can talk to them because they're interested. And so I'd start speaking, and then God would give me the words. We expect God to give us the words, and then we'll speak. But no, you've got to take that leap of faith, and He will catch you. Yeah. So what I did in most classes, I would just start speaking, and then they just roll off my tongue, and it'd be a really good answer what I didn't even know myself. And I think that's a really good tip to have. So that would be my tip. But yeah, this is just a quick video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's just a small size of a topic we could talk about for hours, probably.
Yeah, for real.
Like, it's a real topic. But yeah, Kirby's amazing. Go follow her. What's your account?
Yeah, go follow him on everything if you're from my social media.
Yeah. What's your accounts? Go.
Kirby is a boss. It's on YouTube. It's on Instagram. It's on Twitter. I have a podcast. It's Bought and Beloved.
Wow.
We got everything.
You've done this before. She's professional.
This is what I do for a living.
We stand.
Yes! Go support the ministry. It's really awesome.
Amazing. Well, we love you guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Take care. Bye.